we're going to race. Oh, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. That's the one. Then welcome to this episode of Heartbreak Garage, and today we're finally going to put the steering box and the rest of the bits on this td5 and get it out of here. So follow along if you want. Please like and subscribe if you like it. If you don't, leave me a comment, tell me why, make some changes, get my views up a bit. Anyway, let's get the job going. So we got another brand new to me second-hand steering box, and we're going to get them on the Discovery. So without further ado, let's crack on. Got my toolbox, got my jack, we're lying down, Matt. Happy days. Right. Straight in on the chassis, strongest place, just where the front arm goes in. Don't need to get it all the way off the floor, just enough to get under it. That'll be good enough. The steering box there on the ground, and it needs to go in there on the inside of the chassis, on the engine side, with the 4 mounting bolts and the 2 pipes to hold it on. So that's what we're going to do. So there we go. When we're looking at the steering box here, we can actually see there's a groove in the steering arm, and there's also a hole drilled in the steering box. So when you're taking them off and refitting them, and also when you get them brand new off the manufacturers, there's a pin normally in there that goes through in there. So when you get one refurbed, just have a look and make sure they haven't left the pin in, because that would be unfortunate if you try to drive it with it in. And it can also just make sure it's in the straight ahead position for ease of fitment. Yes, that's it. God. Holy shit. So now with the steering box back in position, we can get the bolts in and get the pipes in, reattach the steering column, and hopefully everything will be fantastic. Hopefully. Right, so the steering box is back in position now. It's not bolted in, and I'm going to leave it loose because I want to connect the steering column, and if you put the 4 bolts in to hold that, the steering column then becomes really hard to get in position. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to attach the steering column. So here we go. So down there is the steering box, I don't know whether you can see, and just behind it there is the steering column constant velocity joint. So we're just going to whack them two together whilst it's all loose, and then we'll get the chassis bolts in. So just to confirm, the steering wheel's in the straight ahead position, and that pin and that hole and slot in the steering box is lined up, so that's in the straight ahead position, and the wheels are in the straight ahead position, so we're all in the straight ahead position, so that should be happy days. Let me just put you in here for a second while I struggle on. So the steering box chassis bolts are in, and I will say, when you put those chassis bolts in, don't rattle them up with a gun and don't go too mad on them, because I have seen people tighten them up so bad they've crushed the chassis and damaged it and split it and all sorts. Also, I'm going to put the steering column bolt in now, which is this one here. So if you're doing a job like this and you lose these steering column bolts, don't just whack in any old bolt. They're a 10.9 high tensile steel. Don't be putting in an 8.8 non-high tensile bolt, because if your steering column falls off, you really are in the shit then. That's one of those jobs that you must get right. So yeah, high tensile bolt. Don't just whack old any bolt in there, which I've seen people do. Alright then, right, let's get this on there. I'm going to see what I can do. Back on the job. That's tight enough. One more. There we go. Yeah, beautiful. That's just amazing. Right, so these pipes are the ones that are cut off, and it's got a little bracket there, and then that just goes on there, and a M8 goes through the centre, and they've got 2 O-rings on. So they've got the O-ring that seals there and there, and then they've got an O-ring that stops water and dust and shit and mud going down there as well. Don't forget those, because if you do, once you put the pipes in a few years time, you'll never get them out again, which is just marvellous. So we'll push them in. There shouldn't be much resistance, they should just go in pretty straightforwardly. You just push them in, just push fits, just push them in. Right, that's pushed in now, so we'll take a little clamp. Right, again, no need for Loctite. Please stop using Loctite, for God's sake. We'll get our pipes in the right area. In you go. And just snug them down. And we get our nut. Again, it's no Loctite. So I've got my 10mm spanner. I'm going to go in through the wheel arch. Right, we're going to get the torch. That's what we're going to do. Right, so now we're under here, we're going to get the panhard rod back on, which I wedged down with this bar to gain access. So now that that's all, trip of antifreeze there, that's not very fucking good, is it? What's going on there? We'll see. We'll see. Maybe. Stop, I'm showing this. Right, so I've had to disturb these pipes, coolant pipes, to get the steering box in and out. So we might have created a small leak which we might have to deal with. But anyway, let's not worry about that for now. we've got this panhard rod which I wedged down, and we're just going to take the opportunity to observe the bushes and see what they're like. They all seem good, so we'll pull the pipe out and we'll try and wrestle this back into play. So let's let the jack down, because obviously by jacking it up we've adjusted the angles. Right, that looks much betterest. I don't know how much of this you can see, it's quite a dark and horrible day. Still got a drip. Right, yeah, so what we're dealing with here now is, because we've unbolted the panhard rod and we've jacked it up and let it down and all that, the body is actually moved over, the chassis is moved over compared to the axle, because it's now on springs, because we can just wobble it around. So we're going to have to use something to podge that back into position, like a podger or a screwdriver. See what I got in the van. So I don't know if you can see this. Right, so I get it. You see it all moving? There we go. So we're going to get the bolt in now. After a bit of an argument, the panhard rod is fitted again. Today I've only got my adjustables with me, so they'll have to do, because I haven't got a big enough socket. So I'll get this tightened up and I'll bring you back when I'm doing the track control arm. That'll be fun. Sorry, not the track control arm, the steering drag link. Panhard rod is now completely back on and tightened up in there, and up there where all the water pipes are, still dripping a little bit because there's residual. We developed a bit of a coolant leak after I got the steering box in position, but I've just changed one of the coolant hose clips, and that seems to be now a thing of the past. I'd rather do it now than struggle again. So we've done that, so now we can put on the steering drag link bar. So we'll get that. There's the old one with the yellow mark to identify the afflicted joint, and it's an adjustable bar, and this is the one we've got. It's a Brit part unit. There's the part number to replace it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to adjust our new bar to match our old bar on the floor. Now it might not be perfect because we've also changed the steering box, but it'll probably be close enough to be good enough, and if it needs a bit of adjustment after, I can just adjust it, because like I say, this is just the steering drag link. It's nothing to do with the tracking or anything like that, it's just the steering drag link. Right then, so there's the new unit, all shiny, and there's our new nuts to go on the end of it, and we'll adjust it. That's what we'll do. So, yep, they're tight. We'll slacken them off, and we'll adjust it all, and then we'll all be marvellous again. So there's a 17 and a 13, and then the adjuster in the centre. And I ain't gonna do stupid things like count threads or do things of this, because there might be slight changes in the length of the bar and the ball joint. So I'm just going to measure it from ball joint to ball joint and set it up that way. That's what I'm going to do, and that's how I want to do it. Be good. So we're just going to adjust it there. But yeah, no, don't count threads. It just measure things. If you measure things, it can't be wrong. Measurements. So we'll go from the centre there to the centre there. 935. So that's what we're going to work to. And we're on 925. Hello, dear.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
A coffee.
My hero.
The coffee, babe.
Yeah, sure. There goes Mrs. Black Hands off to work. Fucking hell, that's tight. Why is that so tight like that? That's stupid. Oh, I might have to bolt it together before I try and adjust it. That's what I'll do, I think. I'll put it on and I'll adjust it then. That's what we'll do. We'll have to. I haven't got a vice here, so I haven't got the means to perform the operation the way I wanted to. Right, let's put it on and adjust it in situ, where it's held in, obviously, situ. Right, so we'll do that then. Right, so I've got the bar. Hello, can you see me? I've got the bar and I've got my new nuts. Now, because it's aftermarket, these are 19s. They were 18s from the factory, just because they were. Right. So we'll have you on there like that. You can stay out the way. And then we'll just get that on the end. Like so. Right, we're on. We'll tighten him up and then we'll do some adjustments. So I know the bar isn't the right length, because as I'm slowly tightening it and the tape is going into the hub, I can hear the tyre just scraping as it's turning slightly on the surface of the ground. So that's why we need to adjust it, because now our steering wheel will not be in the straight ahead position if we leave it. The tracking will be fine, but you'll end up with one lock more one way than the other way, because this bar is too short. Oh, look at that, it's not lining up very well. Well, we'll just leave it like that for now, while we adjust things. I'm saying that'll be good enough. Right, we're going to tighten them up there for now, and then once I've been down the road in it, I'll know whether I need to adjust it anymore. So I'll just nip up the clamps now, make sure that one is located in the ridge, like that, and that one is there. We'll tighten them up, and we'll be good to go. What I'll probably do is I'll actually spin them round that way, and then if there's any off-roading impact, it doesn't take the head of the bolt off or anything, because that'll be hidden up there out of the way nicely, rather than being in an impact zone. So there we go. Happy days. Right, I'll bring you back once I've done all this boring shit. So now we've got to get the 15 back in for the steering stabiliser. And the easiest way I find to do this, because it's not quite straight, the bushing inside, it'll go through that hole, but it's only half lined up, so I normally just get a pair of adjustable spanners, or adjustable spanner, and set it in the right position, and then just force it a bit and jiggle it, and then you can just twist the bush to get it in there enough, and then take your reasonably sized hammer and knock it through, and that's as easy as that. Done. I've seen people struggle with them for a while. We'll just put the nut on the top, a couple of 15s, and we're looking good. Wind them on. A 15mm ratchet. Right, there we go. And that's that back on, so that's it. I haven't got any ATF, I'm going to have to get some from the shop today, and then we can test it. So positive terminal, ECU plugs, earth lead. Right, get this badger bolted back in, and we'll be making progress. Phillips back in. It sounds like someone's doing some DIY. Perfect. So let's go and get the key and see if we can fire it up. Mr. Hugo, enjoying the sunshine, aren't you, mate, through the window? Happy as Larry now, aren't you, mate? Yeah, mint. Right, key. Got the key, and it doesn't look like a standard key. This one was 3D printed because the casing broke and it all fell apart. So there's the central locking button, and there's the key, and the immobilizer's in there as well. So yeah, happy days. Keys in the ignition. So see, make sure the ECU and everything works.